Now, I'm sure there's been many times you've been playing a single player game and you're really invested in it, but then all of a sudden, that stinky little goblin of a sibling or cousin comes waddling over and they blurt some stupid sentence out like,
"Can I play?"
To which you reply, "No."
"But Mom said it's my turn on the..."
Sod off.
"Well, I'm telling."
You know what? Fine. Here. So you hand them a controller that clearly isn't plugged in whilst you play the game and they think they're doing something. Multiplayer is one of my favorite additions that any game can have. Whether that means working together or against each other, multiplayer has always been a huge feature that I look for in games. There are games that are built around multiplayer like Mario Kart, Mario Party, Smash Bros. Obviously you can play these games alone, but playing Mario Party single player is a sin against God. But what about games that are built for both? Well, Mario games have always provided me and my friends with countless hours of heavily abusive fun. Whether it's trying to collect all the star coins in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, or completing Champions Road with every character in 3D World, or even the perfect run in Mario Galaxy 2, these multiplayer Mario games have never let me down. But if you want to play one of these, there's quite a few to choose from, so it might help going in with some prior knowledge. So what's the one that's best for you? Well, to answer that, we're going to have to take a quick history lesson. The Mario Bros. Arcade game was Mario's first multiplayer stint back in 1983. I know the game is actually just called Mario Bros, but for the sake of making this easy to follow, I'll be calling it Mario Bros. Arcade. Alright, good. Thank you. Your honor sustained overruled. But yeah, like it's the Mario Bros. Arcade game. And we aren't here for that. What I, and I'm sure you guys are here for, is multiplayer mainline Mario games. I'm talking a single player experience that can be played with friends. Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1985, is what most people are familiar with, and set the groundwork for how Mario games would work for the rest of eternity, until there is nothing left on this earth to document humanity's existence apart from a fossilized copy of Mario Party 6. But for those who aren't familiar, this is not simultaneous multiplayer. Instead, you take turns playing. Player 1 dies as Mario, and then Player 2 starts as Luigi. It's not really competitive nor cooperative, as each player has their own set of lives and has to beat each level themselves. Given, you could make your own rules, like whoever makes it furthest wins or least deaths, etc, etc. This kind of semi-competitive multiplayer continued through Mario Bros. 3 and slightly changed in Mario World. In Super Mario World, it added a feature that allowed you to trade, and definitely not steal, your partner's lives. Mario 64 came in 1996 and dropped the bros from the title. Where are they? And brought with it the great drought of multiplayer Mario. This drought was filled with rumors and false messiahs such as L is real. I'm sure most of you know about L is real, but quickly for those who don't. L is real comes from a plaque on a water fountain in the courtyard in Mario 64. The plaque texture appears to say L is real 2401.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Where are they brought?
I don't know anything about any numbers.
Leading a rumor to spread across playgrounds and eventually the globe that Luigi was unlockable in the game. Now, whether this meant it also unlocked the two-player mode was less debated but still floated around. Some theorized that 2401 meant that you needed to collect 2,401 stars in the game, even though there are only 120, or 2,401 coins, or even run around the statue itself 2,401 times. None of this is true, obviously. A model for Luigi was recently found in the game's files, but the once planned multiplayer mode was scrapped for good during Mario 64's development stages. Before I talked about a drought in multiplayer Mario. Whilst there was Mario Party and Mario Kart, story-based Mario games were very unlikely to see multiplayer. Paper Mario on the 64 and the GameCube sequel, Thousand Year Door, included no multiplayer, which is understandable as I'm not too sure how you do a multiplayer Mario RPG. Super Mario Sunshine released for the GameCube in 2002, and again, multiplayer pulled a Ferris Bueller and added another absent game to its list. Again, however, multiplayer was at one stage at least planned to be in the game. The general speculation is that the two-player mode would have seen one person playing as Mario and the other as Shadow Mario. Now, this is just me here, but that makes me think that this game would have had a competitive mode, as one player would be controlling Mario and the other would be controlling the game's main antagonist. But again, I don't have any evidence to back this up, or at least any that I'm aware of. The remake of the N64 classic Super Mario 64 DS launched on the DS in 2004, and whilst in this one L is real, there is still no co-op mode, but the game did include a versus mode, where you and up to 4 others competed on small close quarters maps. Whoever had the most stars by the end of the game was crowned the winner. But, to recap, the last time fans had a version of non-competitive Mario multiplayer that still wouldn't even let you play at the same time was around 14 years ago with Super Mario World. Players would have to wait another 4 years until multiplayer Mario would make its return. New Super Mario Bros. DS is a certified classic, but we all know that. And if you don't, well,
You don't know, now you know.
but as good as this game is, its multiplayer is pretty dry. Don't get me wrong, I had a ton of fun with this game back in the day, competing with my friends to collect as many stars as possible and screwing them over with items. And the rush you would get when you hit that giant mushroom is indescribable. I don't think any drug on this planet, this one, could match the feeling of pure euphoria that this item gives you. But sadly, no co-op multiplayer can be found here, although a scrapped co-op mode was planned for New Super Mario Bros. DS. It worked very similar to a game I'll be talking about in just a bit, with one player as Mario and the other as Luigi, traversing through stages together, but still allowing you to screw around with the other player. The reason for this mode being scrapped is unknown, however. But no need to worry, because in 2007, my favorite game of all time graced Nintendo Wii, Link's Crossbow Super Mario Galaxy. If you can't tell, I kinda like this game. So imagine my face when I saw on the back of the box that it had 2-player. I immediately put the disc in and tried to locate this 2-player mode. Oh my gosh, imagine if I could play with my friend as Luigi in Splitscreen, that big robot mosquito spider thing, together? Well, after connecting the second controller, reality soon dawned on me. Player 2 just points and shoots star bits. Co-Star mode, as it was known, involved player 2 being used to point the controller and freeze enemies, or collect star bits. And it was fun enough, but it was essentially a dedicated sibling mode. Not to say I didn't have fun, but it still left a lot to be asked. Like, player 2 doesn't even get their own luma. You just have a pointer on the screen. Anyways, moving on. And here's what we've all been waiting for. In 2009, Nintendo unleashed its most demonic, soul-crushing, friendship-terminating game yet. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now, when I say multiplayer Mario, this is exactly what I'm talking about. 4 players, same time, 1 screen. This was the fully realized version of that cancelled mode back on the DS. 1 to 4 players, you play as Mario, Luigi, Yellow Toad, and Blue Toad. The game was the exact same, whether it's 1 player or 4. But one of the best parts about this multiplayer is how uncooperative it could be.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
What I mean by this is how a single dedicated individual could single-handedly make this game a living hell for everyone else. I'm talking stealing everyone's items, throwing people into pits, jumping on heads, ground pounding, chucking shells like goddamn Peyton Manning throws the pigskin. And, of course, running so far ahead the screen can't keep up with all the players at once and causing this to happen. And the only defense you had against a madman like this was bubbling. But doing that obviously risks the chance of not reaching the flagpole, and thus receiving relentless ridicule for the next minute or so. There are also 2 PvP modes available to play, Coin Battle and Free For All. Coin Battle involves, now, prepare yourselves because this may come as a bit of a shock, obtaining coins. There's 5 stages that progress as normal stages do, and whichever player has the most coins by the end of the course wins. I definitely played this mode when I was younger, but maybe only once or twice, which is a bit of a shame, as the mode is pretty cool with unique levels, such as this one, which starts off with a remake of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game we talked about earlier. There's also a versus mode, which I have no recollection of playing, or even being in the game, to be completely honest with you. This is like Coin Battle, but with points. Whoever has the most points by the end of the level wins. All in all though, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is the perfect Mario experience. These extra modes are just the cherry on top of this game's excellent multiplayer experience. Next up, 2010's Super Mario Galaxy 2. With the addition of Yoshi, surely this brought in some new ideas for multiplayer. Or maybe they actually did a split screen mode. Nah, same as the first game. You can collect coins, and you actually appear as a Luma on the screen, so yeah. New Super Mario Bros. 2. In 2012, now on the 3DS, the sequel to the beloved best-selling DS game. Will it live up to its lofty expectations?
No, I don't think I will.
This game was known to cause side effects, such as dizziness, lapses in attention, headaches, and drowsiness, due to how easy it was. Now, Mario games aren't particularly difficult, bar a few special or final levels, or this thing. But this was simply just boring. Same old art style with a few new items taking place in the Mushroom Kingdom yet again. The only thing setting this game apart from the rest was its obsession with coins. Coins anywhere and everywhere. And if you collect enough, the title screen will change, which is kind of cool. Another kind of cool thing is the multiplayer. Like the Wii game, it allows you to play the entire story mode in 2-player with Mario and Luigi. This is really cool and a kind of fully realized version of what was planned back on the DS. It's just a shame that the game itself is so mundane. Not bad, just very, very vanilla. Damn, though, it's a shame that that game was so lackluster, because now we'll probably have to wait like another 3 years for a new Super Mario Bros. Game. Well, joke's on you. Yes, releasing 3 months later in 2012, New Super Mario Bros. U released for the Wii U. Can you understand why people complained about these games becoming a little stale? New Super Mario Bros. U, just like its older sibling, included 4-player multiplayer. In fact, you can play with up to 5 players at the same time, 4 players on Wii remotes and 1 player on the monstrosity. However, the gamepad player doesn't actually have a character and simply just places blocks on the screen. So yeah, it's like 4.5 players. Not to say you couldn't find enjoyment out of this though. Disrupting the entire game by placing blocks in front of your friends is simply just a class act. Same great 2D gameplay as before back on the Wii, even if it is a fair bit easier. In addition to coin battle coming back, there is also rush mode, which has the screen rush forward or scroll faster depending on how many coins you collect. A year later in 2013, Nintendo celebrated their most culturally significant and sacred event in human history, the Year of Luigi. Look, we all make questionable decisions when we're going through something. In this case, it was celebrating a little green fictional Italian man. New Super Luigi U was a DLC that was also sold as a standalone game for the Wii U back in June of 2013, as part of Nintendo's Year of Luigi. It changes the game up in a few ways though. Same characters, same world map, but all new levels. Every character also jumps higher, but with the trade-off of having ice-like physics when running. So great! And one major complaint that I and many others had with New Super Mario Bros. U was how easy it was. So this game will be the perfect complement to the original. Well, that would be the case, if not for one change that almost completely ruins the entire game's multiplayer experience. In Mario Bros. Wii, the playable characters were Mario, Luigi, Blue Toad, and Yellow Toad. This stayed the same for Mario Bros. U, but I guess because Nintendo wanted to focus on Luigi, they removed the Bros from the title, and also Mario from the entire game. Now, who knows what caused this tragic split between the boys, but it means there's an open slot. So as a replacement, Nintendo added Nabbit, which is definitely a whack-ass choice, but oh well, not like it means all that much. Jokes? Yes it does. Nabbit can't use items, but is invincible, and the only way he can die is by falling off the stage, meaning that player 4 has to play the game in a way that is so easy it defeats almost the entire purpose of playing a Mario game. They could have easily put Wario or Waluigi or Princess Daisy or Rosalina or even just another color of Toad for shit's sake. 4 players is a wash. But yeah, 3 players the game is really cool. Later that year, in November, Super Mario 3D World came to the Wii U. The game is a sequel to Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS. The game takes a more linear structure to 3D Mario, kinda similar to some levels in Galaxy 2. But this was the first time a cooperative multiplayer experience appeared in a 3D Mario game. 1 to 4 players could all share the screen playing as either Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach, and later in the game, Rosalina could be unlocked. But what's really cool is that each character had their own unique attributes. Mario, as is tradition, is the all-round character, while Luigi can jump higher and fall slower, but has more slippery controls. Toad is the fastest, but has no hops. Peach is slow, but has a glide ability like in Super Mario Bros. 2. And Rosalina is the slowest, but has the spin move for Mario Galaxy, which can give her some extra airtime. This game has a solid case for being the best multiplayer Mario experience because of this, where in previous games, choosing a character was simply a cosmetic choice, but now it actually affects the gameplay, as some levels are better suited to particular characters. The game is generally pretty easy, with a few difficult ones sprinkled in, but once you get to the later stages, especially Champions Road, that all changes. This level is a pretty long stage, no checkpoints, no power-ups, just difficult platforming. It's one of my favourite Mario stages of all time. It's the perfect level to put all your skills that you've learned to the test at the very end of the game. Whilst you've still got a bubble and you can pick up your friends, there is a slight discouragement to murdering your friends this time around. You now share lives. Now, for most playthroughs, this isn't a problem, as lives are pretty plentiful. But it still seems like an odd choice. In the files of the game can also be found a hand icon. It's believed that this is a leftover from a cut 5-player mode. It would have been like New Super Mario Bros. U, and would have seen one player using the gamepad and the touchscreen to collect items and, caress enemies? In late 2017 came Mario Odyssey. Now, this was a return to the more open level design found in Super Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine over a decade ago. And don't get me wrong, as a single-player experience, Mario Odyssey is everything I wanted and is one of the best. But on the multiplayer side of things, this game is actually a slight improvement over Galaxy, as Player 2 controls Cappy and you assist Player 1 in traversing each stage, collecting coins and screwing with enemies. A year later in 2018, Nintendo expanded Mario Odyssey to include online functionality with Luigi's Balloon World. However, this isn't a typical multiplayer and actually involves players hiding balloons for you to then find in order to chase the bag. Whilst fun, it's far from the potential that Mario Odyssey multiplayer could have. What I would have loved to have seen is not just a cooperative mode, but a competitive mode, where maybe in a timer of say 5 minutes, you had to compete with other players to see who could get the most moons by the end of the timer. I don't know, I don't think it would have been too difficult to add, but maybe we'll see it in a sequel. Now, this next game isn't a mainline Mario game, and to be honest, I haven't really played it too much, and I'm definitely going to miss some stuff, so bear with me. Super Mario Maker 2 has one of the most interesting multiplayer experiences offered by a Mario game. Released in June 2019 on the Switch, Mario Maker 2 includes a number of Nintendo-made levels, in addition to countless fan-made levels, available for you to play now with up to 4 players. Now, Mario Maker has various themes each level can have, and are based off of Mario's numerous appearances. For games like Super Mario World, Mario and Luigi already have sprites that exist, but now for every game theme, there are unique sprites and models for the other 2 playable characters, Blue Toad and Toadette. There is both a competitive versus mode, which acts as a race to the finish, and a co-op mode, like past titles. Another big first for the series was also the implementation of online play. This is what allows you to race players at your own pace, as the screen is no longer required to contain all 4 players at once. The online is a typical Nintendo Online affair, which translates to, it's mostly good, but with a fair few issues. But it's been close to a decade since we've had an original cooperative multiplayer full Super Mario experience, and I can't wait to see what Nintendo has in mind. But in the meantime, if you're looking to relive some of these, or play it for the first time, which is the best one? Well, if you're looking to play Super Mario Bros. Or Luigi U with 4 players, I would strongly recommend avoiding the Switch ports. Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is, on surface level, a very serviceable port, but when playing with 4 players, its biggest flaw makes it very apparent that this is the worst method of playing this game. As we know, the characters you typically choose from are Red Man, Green Man, Blue Gremlin, Yellow Gremlin. But for some reason, Nintendo wanted to fix an issue that never existed. They removed the ability to play as 2 Toads. Instead, you must now play as either Nabbit, who as we know is permanently invincible, or Toadette, which is the only character that can use the Super Crown ability, which gives her another jump.
Plus, if you fall into a pit, she'll bounce right back.
Both of these characters are labelled as easy and very easy respectively. So as you might guess, player 4 is forced to play the game in a different way to all of their friends, and so will definitely affect the difficulty and may even affect the level of enjoyment that player has with the game. This hits Super Luigi U the hardest though, as because Mario can't be used, 2 players are forced into using either Nabbit or Toadette. So the best way to play this game is unfortunately on this thing. It's just maddening to see that Nintendo did this when there was such a simple solution. Just let 2 players play as Toad. They didn't remove Blue Toad from the game.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights?
You can still play as him by holding the L button when selecting him.
I love you.
Off.
It just sucks because if you want to play 4 players, one of them is going to have to make a sacrifice. However, on the bright side, if you're looking to play 3D World, the Switch port is very good. In addition to an extra single-player mode, the game runs better, every character is much faster, which is my main complaint with the original, and controls better without the Wii Remote D-pad. But for those who've already played through these games and are looking for a brand new experience, I would highly recommend newer Super Mario Bros. Wii. This is a ROM hack of New Super Mario Bros. Wii that adds new levels, music, enemies, and items, and increases the difficulty significantly from Super Mario Bros. Wii. This is one of the highest quality ROM hacks I've ever played, so if you're interested, I recommend you give it a look. But it's a topic for another video. And before we end off here, just one more thing. We all played as Blue Toad, right? Like, no one played as Yellow Toad. Like, willingly, I mean. Did you play as Yellow Toad?
Gotta get jiggy with it. That's it. Honey, honey, come ride. TKNY, all up in my eye. Got a Prada bag with a lot of stuff in it. Give it to your friend, let's spin.